Welcome back to Perkins Pipes. Got this delightful Kaywoodie bulldog. Just love the lines on this little guy, and very elegant little pipe. Wanted to bring him out. I hadn't actually had him out for a while, just either for my own pleasure or for, I think, in one of these videos, and it seemed appropriate. Going to be talking something a little bit literary today, and this smooth line, curving, elegant little pipe seemed exactly right. So as always, let's get this guy lit. Let's get to talking. As longtime viewers will know, my favorite poet, certainly in English and possibly in any language, is Alexander Pope, 1688, 1744, British poet. Famous for his rhyming couplets. So, for a while now, I've been reading the magisterial biography of Pope by Maynard Mack, Alexander Pope, A Life. And give you a little idea why I've been reading it for a while. Look at the size of this guy. This guy runs to 975 pages, so this is a stout book. And I love it. I love it. Love reading it. And because I'm doing other things, so I come back to it from time to time. There's something I read, though, on pages 638 and 639 that have to do with the writer's craft. And I know some of you are writers. Some of you shared your poetry with me. I know some of you, you're fountain pen lovers. You enjoy the physical act of writing. You enjoy the creative act of writing, various kinds of writing. And I thought this was really, really good. In a section where he was talking about Pope's epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. Now, this is a poem he wrote addressed to his friend John Arbuthnot, but it really dealt with the writer's craft, the writer's trade, and by this point Pope was very well known, and so lots of people would come to visit him, say, hey, read my stuff, and he's like, oh, good grief, I've got to read all these other people's stuff, and a lot of it just wasn't very good. In fact, his opening lines, which I love, and I have to confess, sometimes I think about as a teacher. He says, "Shut the door, good John. Fatigued, I said. Tie up the knocker. Say I'm sick. I'm dead. The dog star rages. Nay, 'tis past a doubt. All Bedlam, or Parnassus, is let out." Bedlam being the slang pronunciation of Bethlehem, the mental hospital in London. And he says, I can't tell if people from the mental hospital have escaped and are bringing me their crazy ravings, or if Parnassus, the home of the ancient muses, if legitimately inspired poets are coming to see me. He says, I don't know, but my brother John, just shut the door, tie up the knocker. Don't let him knock on my door. Tell him I'm sick. Tell him I'm dead. I really don't care. He said that can be, a bit of a burden to a writer. And then Maynard Mack, in the biography, he goes on to say, he says, none of these hopefuls cares much for the hard work required to master a literary trade. The hard work. Not for them the days and nights of self-discipline implicit in the Horatian counsel, keep your peace 9 years, which Pope conveys to them. The Roman poet Horace had that advice. He says, hey, he says, write your stuff, then stick it in a drawer. Don't even think about looking at it for 9 years. Then pull it out and look at it. And if it doesn't make you absolutely sick, then maybe you consider publishing it. Right? Because I think so many of us, we write something and say, ooh, that's wonderful. Let me publish it right now. Give it a little bit of time. You might go back and you go, oh, what was I thinking about? You need to let it sit. And he says, not for them, the days and nights of self-discipline, implicit in the Horatian counsel, keep your peace 9 years. Not for them either, the detachment of the artist, the necessary loneliness of the long-distance runner, the by no means always successful struggle of the serious writer to keep from drowning in a Sargasso sea of soft porn or other eyewash prepared to formula for the tired typist home at tea time. Now, first of all, come on, trans, let's just be honest here. Maynard Mack has a way with words. Just writing the biography, much of Mack's prose is very poetic. Okay, so let's talk about that. Writing is a craft, but baby, it's work. I write. I'm a writer. Some of you know that on the channel. I've published numerous books, a lot of academic articles and so forth, and children's fiction, poetry, and all kinds of stuff. Okay. I'm not going to reveal to you in this video what I'm working on at the moment. Although as of the recording of this video, it's been a solid year of work, although the inspiration goes back for it some probably 20 years. And I'll share that at some point. But what Mack refers to in terms of the hard work and the discipline, he talks about the eyewash of soft porn or other distractions. Now, it could be talking literally pornography, but you think about the distractions that you and I have. The internet. Hey, there's a new Perkins Pipes video. I want to watch it, right? And certainly in our phones, and we're so plugged in these days. I think, though, that some people may not realize that the writer needs to have that time of lonely, solitary focus. Like he even mentioned the long-distance runner. Now, a lot of people have no problem with a friend or a relative saying, hey, I'm training for the marathon. Okay, training for the half marathon, training for an Ironman competition, training for a Tough Mudder, any of these kinds of things, and say, hey, I can't go out with you this weekend. All right, I can't go out to the movies Thursday night. I'm doing this thing, and we're so sports focused that we're okay with that. Right? Like, oh yeah, I forgot you're doing the marathon. Yeah. You go ahead. But the writer needs that kind of focus and that kind of discipline as well. It takes work. So, for example, something's going on in town. I hear the sirens. Hopefully, all is well there. And just as a little side note, I have to say that when I hear sirens or I see stuff on the road, police have pulled somebody over, there's a fire truck or an ambulance, I always shoot out a quick prayer for those who are dealing with the situation and those who are in the situation. But this piece that I'm working on is pretty major, and it requires tremendous focus. It requires numerous resources. It's both literary and it's academic, this piece that I'm working on. which should be coming out in 2026. And I can get distracted with the best of them. I'm working on it for a while, half hour, and next thing you know, my mind starts to wander. And maybe I'll pop over and check Google News, see what's going on out in the world. Hey, I sent an email to somebody. I wonder if they've replied yet. To be quite honest, I'm recording this video in the midst of working on this other project. Now, sometimes you need a break, right? You can't just keep pushing yourself so hard that the creativity really shuts down. And so maybe you do. You get up, you go take a walk, you walk your dog, or you go have lunch, you go record a pipe video. And so you do need those things. But writing is work. It's disciplined, and it is solitary. Now, I can be solitary in the midst of chaos, okay? I can have all kinds of stuff going on around me, and if I'm not involved in that, I can tune that stuff out. I really can. Bombs can be going off around me, and I'm tappity tap tap type, right? I think, though, that a lot of people think they've got an idea for writing, and they say, oh yeah, I want to write, and I'll just jump right in and do it. Well, you might have to work up to that, right? You might have to work up to the discipline of doing it. So what is the work involved? Doesn't matter if it's fiction or nonfiction, there's going to be some research involved, okay? Your fiction writers will certainly tell you that. Maybe you need to, hey, I want to set this in a particular city or in a particular time. Does this particular place exist, or what does this place look like, or did they have this particular item in this particular time period that I'm writing about? So even fiction, and of course nonfiction, requires research. So you got to have the do the work, all right? You got to do the work of crafting good sentences. All right, everybody starts thinking, oh, I'm going to write the big poem. I'm going to write the big novel. Well, it starts with the smallest unit, right? Phrases and clauses and making into sentences. And a good sentence makes a good paragraph, and several good paragraphs make a good chapter. And enough good chapters make a good book. So you've got to be willing to, you can't just be flying up here, right, with the big idea. You got to do the work of crafting the sentence. Where does the verb go? Would it be better if I used this adjective or that adjective? And you say, well, that just sounds like too much work. Then maybe writing's not for you. Or maybe you just need to build up to that. So again, it's work. It's discipline. Most writers will tell you you need to write every day. Even if what you write is pure garbage and you delete it or throw it away, that's fine. But you need to write every day. Musicians will tell you got to practice your instrument every day. Athletes will tell you you've got to practice every day. So, it's most helpful if you have a set time, often a set place. But don't get so caught up in that either that, well, if I can't have that time or I can't have that place, be flexible. Like I said, I can write in the midst of chaos if I'm not involved in the chaos. But you got to be disciplined and keep pushing through it. Keep pushing through it. And even when you don't want to, and even if you only write a little bit, push through and accomplish something every day. But I do think the comment about being alone, Mac mentions the loneliness of the long distance runner. You've got to be comfortable being alone. Now, I enjoy my friends. Obviously, I dearly love my family. enjoy doing things with them. But I do crave being alone. I do crave that time. That's part of my personality. And that's why I say I can be alone even in the midst of the hubbub. Why is that? Why do you need to be alone and solitary? Because writing is an interior activity. It's mind, but it's also heart. And you've got to listen to both. Sometimes you have to speak your words out loud. And you might not want to do that with a whole bunch of other people around. I certainly do that, certainly when it comes to writing fiction. I write things and I say, how does that sound? And I speak it aloud. And maybe I speak it with an accent or a particular character voice if it's, again, some sort of active narrative kind of thing. You need that time alone. Now, you hear the sounds? My deck is a great place to write. I don't always write here. A lot of times I write inside the house. I've got a place in our bedroom that I like to write. I've got a place in our living room where I like to write. I've written at my son's basketball practices when he was younger. I've written before school and after school in my classroom. So there's lots of places. But you've got to be comfortable doing that kind of solitary work. So let's talk a little bit. For those of you who are writers, those of you who are thinking about it, does that appeal to you? The work, the discipline, the solitary life, does that appeal to you? Is it something you go, I recognize it, but I know that I'm not quite there? Hang with that. You can build up to that. If some of that just flat out puts you off and you're like, oh, heavens no, then like I say, maybe the writer's craft isn't for you. So if you're a writer of any stripe, maybe it's just you just like writing letters to friends, but if you're a writer of any kind, what is your practice? How do you write? What are the challenges of writing? How do you get past them? How do you work through them? And how have you developed your craft over the years? As the great writer Malcolm Guite likes to say, I do these little things in order at last to do nothing. Or as I like to say in Latin, Parva ago ut tandem, nihil agam. Have a wonderful day.